Hello, welcome to today's video where we're going to look at the Spa 24-hour and my first race stint and experience of the iconic race, which took place about 3 weeks ago now. Last week on my Twitch, which if you don't follow, make sure you go and follow because I do stream very occasionally. I analysed it in some sort of detail just to explain what happened, and to be honest, the stint was crazy. Like, it was the most mental stint of my entire racing career. So I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. So a bit of context, we started 26th. I was in the car 4th out of the 4 drivers, so there's 2 hour stint, so that's 6 hours into the race, I jumped in. So this was about 11 PM at the time. We were leading the class at one stage, and then we dropped back through incidents and bad timings with pit stops and safety cars, and we got a bit unlucky, track limit penalties. We dropped back to I think it was 11th in class or 12th in class, 30th overall. What happens next is mental. Mental. Nothing could have prepared me for it. So, beware. So, at the pit stop, I think we suffered a bit of damage earlier on in the race, and the front left corner was a bit compromised. So they took longer than usual to get the front left on because it was jammed. So when they were doing that, unfortunately the ABS sensor failed, so the whole ABS system was not on. That pull away was yep, that felt cool. So you can see just above the right hand on the dash, if you can see that, there's a little red warning light, and that says ABS failure. So I came on the radio and I was like, there's no ABS failure. And going down the pit lane, I suppose the team were trying to figure out what buttons to press, so I pressed the clear alarm on the wheel. It wouldn't go, so was kind of not panicking but saying, look, the ABS has failed, any other things I should try. And from memory, I don't think I was told in the pit lane the fix. I was effectively rejoining the race, my first laps in the race, 24 hours of Spa, with no ABS. And I remember when I left the pit lane, going down the Camel Straight, the engineer said to me, "You will not have ABS," in a very serious tone. I was like, what? That is when some fear kind of crept in, because I was like, every braking zone in a GT car pretty much, you're into the ABS. So this outlap is extremely cautious because one lockup, and the amount of gravel that's around Spa now, I could have ended up in the gravel so easily. So you'll see on the brake pressure, no more than 50 bar. I really didn't want to lock up. Joining a line of pro cars, I mean, talk about getting thrown in the deep end, man. Sim racing, I'm the biggest advocate for it. I think it's so accurate and so good, and you can learn so much about pace, consistency, accuracy, the setup, everything like that. It's just a situation like this, it doesn't prepare you at all. It was horrible, man. I mean, the neons on that Porsche, very bright. You can see I'm just not on it because I'm worried about locking up. You can see on the dash the alarm's still there. So, look how timid I am on the brakes. And I'm just praying the team come to me with a fix. Obviously, yeah, I'm losing a lot of lap time in the braking zones. And generally everywhere, I'm just lacking a bit of confidence in the car. So, unfortunately, I didn't quite get the fix in time. So you'll see, going through Blanchimont is okay, and then there's loads of cars slowing down for the bus stop, and I must have just had a momentary lapse of concentration, I suppose. I didn't have ABS, and you'll see I hit the brake pedal pretty hard. So I basically, if you've ever seen the Russian Grand Prix from 2014 where Rosberg was leading in the first corner and he just stamped on the brakes, both fronts locked, that's what happened. I remember it. You can't really it's not as dramatic as you think it'd be. It's not like a and smoke everywhere, and like, well, it's a GT car, so a lot of it would have been hidden from the bodywork and stuff. But all I remember was smell. The smell hit me first of the tires like burning, and then the smoke in the rear view camera, and then I realised I was approaching this corner way too quickly. And then, fortunately, I wasn't close to anyone. So both fronts were extremely flat spotted. The incident itself, I mean, it's not the end of the world. 24-hour race. What did I lose there? What, 5 seconds? Unfortunately, though, the car was... Okay, let me explain that. I'm pretty sure when I was in the runoff area, I got told the fix. And he made it very clear. It's like top right button on the center console. Which, if only that was 20 seconds before. And then you'll see I'll go for it. I press the button on the dash. There you go. That cleared the alarm, and that brought the ABS was back. So it was too little, too late, and they did say carry on. Naturally, you know, with endurance racing, you want to get in the car, extend your stints as long as possible, so you make as little pit stops as possible throughout the race. And a pit stop at Spa is extremely long. Unfortunately, it was too late, and you can see the vibration. You can hear the vibration. I mean, it's horrendous. It's like porpoising in F1. It's just, it sounds like the tyre's going to blow, you know? And it gets progressively worse and worse. So I just had no front grip, and I was like 3-4 seconds a lap off the pace. Like, there's... Oh! Sounds like a tractor. So it got worse and worse. So this is the in-lap, I believe. Oh. Sounds absolutely horrible. Oh. I mean, look at that. The amount of vibration on the front going through Puon. So, after 3 laps, the team were like, right, box. And, yeah. Interestingly, they only changed the front right wheel. So maybe they were only allowed to change one wheel. Otherwise, we'd have to do the minimum pit stop time. So, they changed the front right. The front left had to be affected, as maybe the rears were as well. And then I went back out and did the rest of the stint. So, look. Other thing to note as well is I can't really see it, but the headlights were damaged in a little bit of contact we received earlier in the race. So apparently it was harder than usual to see into corners, especially Blanchimont. And I think the left-hand mirror, or the left-hand light, was worse than the right. So the left-hand corners were more difficult than right-hand corners. So Blanchimont, Puon, all of those were affected. And then, so after that absolute humdinger of a opening part of the stint, you know, after all the incidents and the lock-ups and stuff, the tyres had to have been affected because, you know, they were basically, the 3 other ones were carried round on that vibrating set of laps. But the stint was solid enough. You know, it wasn't perfect. Picked up a few track limits, getting in the swing of it. The balance was off. I think we had a bit of aero damage as well from the incident prior, like earlier in the race, which we don't have the footage for. I only have my onboards, which is probably fair. You know, it's not fair if I share other drivers' onboards. Yeah, so in the 220s, the 221s, if traffic came along, then 222s, and, you know, if it was really bad, 223s. So I was just getting a feel for it. I thought, you know, there's over 12 hours left. A lot can happen. If we have a incident-free race from now to the end, we'll go from what we were, I think, 12th in class to hopefully a podium. So, and it's that simple. It's not like sim racing where everyone is within 3 tenths and it's robotic, and yeah, there are incidents, but there's not that many. in this, there are so many mechanical failures, crashes, incidents. People get track limit penalties. Like, there's so much more of that if you stay in the race, you're more than likely going to get a good finish. Yeah, there was a lot of communication with the engineer in the race. Like, usually every lap, I'd be asking something. But not talking rubbish, but like just asking for information or where we are in the race, how long left on the stint. Just, I do like to talk a little bit in stints. How much pressure on the brake? 130 bar, I think, in quali was reached at turn 1. The rest of the stint was kind of just plain sailing, really. Like, oh, we did get stuck behind this Lamborghini, actually. I don't know if it was a silver or an AM in this Lambo. I think it might have been an AM. And we just lost so much time. Oh, a bit of a snap there. We got a Pro Merc behind us. I think it was, yeah, the B. Oh, there's a Pro Porsche came through, and then a Pro Merc. So that's the thing. It's not multi-class racing, but some of these pro cars that stay out of trouble, have no damage, and the guys are so experienced and quick. It's impressive how quick some of those guys are. Like, you know, your Marcellos, even the guy in the sister Garage 59 car, Henrique Chavez. I was on the track at the same time as him, and he passed me, and it's impressive how quick these real life guys are, man. Some of these pros are just ridiculous. Braking is it's comparable in the technique. It's more just the physicality of it. It's the only difference, really. Oh well, yeah, I think we got sent by the Jota McLaren there, who was quicker at the time. I think this was Rob Bell was in the car, factory McLaren driver. So, but from memory, he started the stint just behind us, and we finished just behind him at the end. So, not bad. So, this is continuing the stint. Still behind the Lamborghinis. It's been a couple of laps now. We did get him, though. Where did we get him? Oh, he must have let us through, did he? Yeah, he did. No, that's another car. Oh, we just got overtaken by a Pro Beamer. So, was that an Audi passing us? It was... I know from sim races, I've done endurance sim races, like, it's quicker to let them through and go with them than fight and potentially receive contact, because if you're staying in front of them, I've been on the receiving end of it. The guy lapping gets impatient, and it does end in tears. So I thought it was better to let them through and go with them. Still behind the Lambo, and we did get him. Where did we get him? Did he just let us through? I can't remember. No, well, he must. Maybe he did let us through. Were the pro guys faster? Yes, they are pro for a reason. Pro, the best GT drivers, some of the best drivers, full stop, in the world, in factory teams, prepared. The cars were prepared absolutely, you know, by the top teams like WRT and ACA and you got the top drivers who have had years. How many Spa 24 hours have some of these drivers done? They can count them on two hands, maybe more. It counts for a lot. Experience counts for a lot. And when you're in my shoes, doing it once, I had a grand total before the race laps. You see that gravel there in the entry or the apex of the Kemmel, the Comchicane. So the combined amount of laps I did before the first race stint, if I think about it, were about 65 laps, including the 2-day test, including qualifying, including practice. And only 6 of those laps, or 7 of those laps, maybe slightly more, were at night. And we had a bit of damage. The McLaren, in terms of BOP, I don't think was very strong. We were the top McLaren in qualifying, and we were 26th overall. You just need everything going for you. You know, you need the car setup to be absolutely mint. And I'll be honest, I don't think this one was. You know, I thought that in qualifying, the setup, it's not a consistent one to drive at all. And all I can compare was the Team Rocket RJN setup. This is on a different tyre, hard to compare, but I'm sure the setup was not fully optimised. So there's that variable. There's the variable of we had a bit of damage. Will be costing us time in high-speed corners, a bit of front end like aero damage. Not too much, but it does hurt you. Tyre wear becomes increasingly worse as well. My lack of experience has to come into it as well. In terms of consistency. Pace, yes. Consistency, yes. Like, there are... I look at this now, and I was watching some of the pros on boards, and there are certain lines and stuff I wish I knew about or was taking in the race. But it's a learning experience. Like, if I went and did it again, of course I'm going to be better than this year. So if you do it 5 times over or more, you're going to improve. 100%. So that's why the pros are quicker. Because they have... they're just more complete as a real racing driver in every aspect. And how do they do that? Obviously the pros are extremely talented. They have to be. You know, some guys on this grid have just as much experience as those pros and are nowhere near them. So the pros are the pros for a reason. But why were they quicker than me? There's loads of reasons. I think the main one is experience, though. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I could not be as quick as a pro, because I personally think that's bollocks, and I have to think that. Otherwise, what am I doing this for? It was undoubtedly impressive, like being on a track with some pros in this situation. Obviously, I'm a bit low on confidence now after that ABS thing. But, yeah. Many layers to that. Many layers to that conversation, to be honest. Did you get to compare telemetry to the pros? No, well, our car was a silver cup car, so we were a car 4 silvers were all the same grade. And, you know, some great silvers as well. But the thing is, when you're a silver and you perform at a high level, you just go straight up to being a gold or, you know, which makes you a pro. So, exactly, if I was to sit here and say, those pros, oh wow, I'm never going to be at that level. I can't believe how quick they are. You know, I will sit here and respect how quick they were and consistent and just they were operating at a very high level. But I have to believe I would be able to get there. You know, whether I will get there or not, I don't know. I don't know how much racing I'm going to be doing, but I feel like I could be there. But you have to think that way. So this is still the end of the first stint, and it was smooth. There was not too many incidents. Just a little send, was it? Whoa! Taking the wet line. No incidents to report, really. I'm trying to remind myself if anything mental happened, but I don't think it did. I mean, this is a pretty clear lap. Let's see what lap time I did. Doesn't come... Oh, this was in lap. So let's see how well I did the pit entry. So it's not like ACC where if you are speeding just past the line, you get away with it. It's like iRacing or R-Factor. If you are 0.1 of a kilometre over the speed limit at that line, or past it, you'll get a penalty. So it looks timid compared to ACC pit entries, but it's what you got to do. This was the pit stop. I think this must have been track limit time penalty. I think it was like 10 seconds. And then... So going out for the second stint. Okay, so they're 1 hour stints, by the way. So when we did the driver swap for... So Manuel Maldonado getting out, he getting in. There's basically... So you have your in-ear headphones in here, right? And the cable goes round into the helmet plug. And that's how you hear... that your helmet basically gets plugged into the car. And you can hear the radio like that. But in the pit stop, I needed to sort it out, but I just didn't think about it. So the radio cable had a lot of slack. It was wangling around everywhere, and so when I sat down, the shoulder strap went over the wire when Manuel put the thing down, and then I put it into the turnbuckle. Then I tightened the shoulder strap belt, and it yanked on the radio cable. So what happened was it pulled the earpiece like halfway down my ear, like that. Right? This sounds like such a ballerina excuse, but trust me, it really affected me. So it went halfway down my ear, and then it was because my helmet's too small for me anyway, because I bought the wrong size 2 years ago. I will get a new one. It was digging that out of place headphone into my head, and if many of you know, like, ears are related to balance and sickness and queasiness and stuff like that. So first stint was fine. I did feel a bit ropey, but it was fine. When I stopped and went back out again, I don't know if the adrenaline dropped off or I just felt like absolute dog poo, to be honest. Like, really ill. Like, coming out of some corners. It started to come on at the start of this second stint, and then you'll see another bit of inexperience as well, or I don't know if it was miscommunication or whatever. So I thought I got told on the in-lap, we're doing a maintenance stop, which is where they change like the brake pads and whatever. So I thought I was kind of not ready to go. I was like, right, I'm going to be wheeled into the garage any moment, they're going to change brake pads, and then, you know, I've got time. But that didn't happen. So when they dropped the jacks, I literally, with a drop start function on this car, you hold it, and when you get dropped, within half a second, you're pulling away. And you can see I probably lost a couple of seconds here. 1, 2, 3. So probably like 3 seconds I lost there. Again, so annoying. Shit like that. I don't know, maybe they did say it, but if they didn't, why did I hear that? Why did I hear they were doing a maintenance stop? Just annoying shit like that. Really rejoined. Starting to feel a bit ropey, but it's all good. When you're at speed, you've got adrenaline kind of helping you out, and you've got the airflow from the outside into the cockpit to keep you cool. So it's not too bad. So why didn't they do a long stop? Well, I don't know. Maybe, well, I mean, we're only like 8 hours into the race at this stage, so that's not, you know, you don't do the maintenance stop then, you do it halfway. So you don't extend any of the brake pads or anything too long. You do it at 12 hours in, and then you've got 12 hours on each set of brake pads. When there was a red flag or full course yellow, you slow the car down. So basically, there's a counter. You can see where I'm pointing the mouse. There's a counter there. So it comes up with full course yellow, 20 seconds, 19, 18, 17, 16. And when it gets to like 3 or 2, you slow the car down, and you have to be at 80 kilometers an hour when it's at 0. If you don't, you get a drive-through penalty. It's just effectively like pit speeding. You know, you have to... And this was the first full course yellow I did, actually. So I was very close to speeding, but in fact, it went quite well. So the car in front, you can see I do gain quite a bit. So I think at this point it was like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I probably counted a bit early there, but... So when that goes yellow, we're under full course yellow. And if you look, I reach 80 here, and then half a second later... So it was close. I gained on the car in front, so it's all good. And then here, I underestimated how little grip I'd have. And look, massive oversteer moment at the chicane. So under full course yellow, I was like, right, I don't want to lose any time here, so I'll keep it pinned and try and just get through these corners. And then whoop! I didn't lose much time there though. Pace-wise, so clear air, 220s, 221s. And then traffic, 222s, 223s. All 4 of us, to be honest, in the car were doing the same times pretty much. So, yeah, you know. I'm sure the other guys have their own personal improvements they think they could have made. But me personally, I know in the first stint it weren't so bad. The illness and whatever wasn't really affecting me too much. It was more the inexperience and my mindset. It was very hard to keep my head after the initial ABS failure, and yeah, I was like, oh. I dipped quite low, and yeah, I was quite a negative mindset for the whole stint. Whereas by now, I've sort of got over that. But under this full course yellow, which turns into a safety car, this is when I started to feel so ill. When we're behind the safety car. When you're weaving, trying to get heat into the brakes and the tyres. I think we're actually behind Valentino Rossi at this stage. At least this car. So, 100% in this stint, my sickness was affecting my pace. I reckon it was probably about 3-4 attempts a lap, to be honest. I was just not with it. I felt drunk, man. I felt like my head was just not in a good place. And that's the thing, you can't really see it from this angle. Like, I'm sure if you saw my face, you'd be like, oh, that guy don't look well. So I was on the radio, I don't know if it was this lap or the next lap, saying, guys, I've got to come in. I feel really ill. There's 40 more minutes left on this stint, and obviously, as we know, you got to extend the stints to minimise the pit stops. So I wouldn't have said that unless I really felt like I couldn't drive. And I was like, guys, I need to come in. I feel like I'm going to be sick. I feel horrendous. I'm going to pass out. I was like giving them all this stuff over the radio. And to be honest, I'm glad they did what they did. They were like, they could have so easily said, oh, mate, sorry. I'm so sorry you feel like that. You come in. We'll get someone else in. You come in. We'll give you a little rub down. But no, I mean, that can't happen. Like, we've got to stay out. You know, as much as I was begging for mercy in that sense, they were like, stay out. Stay out. Just give us 20 more minutes, even though I knew I could see the stint timer. There was like 40 minutes left. So they were trying to ease me or kind of eke more out of me. And it's the worst scenario to feel ill in, because you're at night and you're in a safety car, so it's going to be a safety car restart, which means there's a line of cars. Some of them could be AMs, some of them could be pros, silvers. It's going to be chaos, and I didn't feel like fit for purpose, I'll be brutally honest. Ifs and buts. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses here. I'm just trying to give you an insight as to what actually happened. You know, the facts are, we started 26th overall, 5th in class, and we didn't finish. But when you look at it, I'm sure in every stint there was a story to tell, and this was, well, at least I know my 2 stints were pretty action-packed. So, restart. Feeling like a man on his deathbed, to be brutally honest. I remember, literally, my eyes, I remember driving around like... To be honest with you, right, it's the only time in my racing career where I've... mindset-wise, I literally was thinking as I was driving around, like, do I really want to be a racing driver after this? Like, I felt so out of my comfort zone. I mean, look at that. That Bentley must have got a good exit off turn 1. Obviously, I'm not going to feel like this normally. You know, if I felt well and up for it, it would have been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. Like, I would have loved it. And the reality is, and the sad truth is, I didn't enjoy it that much because I felt that ill. It's really sad to say that, but I'm just being brutally honest. You know, why would I call the engineers and say, can I come in early? You know, I've been working my arse off for 2 years to try and get back in the seat, and then I'm over the radio like, guys, can I come in? So these positions I'm losing, I probably wouldn't be so lenient if I didn't feel ill. See, there are cars gone wide. We go around the outside of him here. Go on, lad. Yeah, so those of you that have had a small helmet on, or... The small helmet is not the end of the world, I don't think. It's horrible, but you can get through it. It's the bloody earpiece that was digging into my ear. I think that really put the nail in the coffin, to be honest. So I got a little bit of clear air in front of me now. And the other thing, in the first stint, it took me a little while to get used to the setup of the car, and it was very twitchy. It was very rear limited as the stint went on. In the second stint, I did actually... there was a 5 or 6 lap period where I hit a sweet spot, and the setup felt good. The times were good. I was like setting 20.2s, 20.3s, which I think would have been 19s if I felt 100%. I know it's there. I know, like, it's not like I came away from the whole race meet thinking, wow, I can't imagine how those pros are doing those times, or can't imagine how some of these guys do it. Like, I can see it. It didn't happen for many reasons, which is really annoying. Yeah, we're getting sort of done here with it. I think we're in a line of pro cars. Up to this guy. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my god, that was the moment where I thought this is going to be an accident, and then yeah, I don't know how he fit. I don't know how he got the car in this gap. I have no idea. Just sort of play what happened here. So through Pouon, this pink Merc was a bit slow. How did he get through that? I don't understand. Oh man, like look at the gap on the apex. Like here, there's not even half a car's width. So it does look like, you know, obviously I'm getting absolutely mugged out here, but what you're not seeing is the other 18, 19 silvers that were in the same position as me. It's just that we were a similar pace. A lot of us, like, I wasn't catching them so much, they weren't catching me. All you're seeing is pro cars just go past me, so. And me going past the odd, maybe silver or probably am. Oh, big snap. On the marbles. Woo! So at this point, you know, I'm like, when can I come in? When can I come in? I feel horrible, guys. And they were like, just 10 more minutes, just 5 more minutes, and they were kept on eking out another 5 minutes. And it did get me through the whole stint, which ultimately, in the grand scheme of the race, was the best thing to do because we didn't have to stop early and we extended the stint. So all looks pretty plain sailing. This was that little groove I was talking about earlier where I got into a nice rhythm despite feeling like really ill. And it was like 20.3, 20.5, 20.4. A lot of people say Spa is, this race is harder than Le Mans. Because at Le Mans you've got the straights. Here you haven't really. Oh yeah, there you go, spun car. And this is the in-lap. So I was like relieved, but I was, you know, don't get me wrong, I was still a bit... I knew how things had panned out and how we lost a stint at the start from the ABS failure, and how I was annoyed that I wasn't enjoying it, and I was annoyed that I didn't feel well and I wasn't driving 100%. So I was a bit like, meh. But I was relieved I could come in and get the helmet off. Another spinner or a shunt. Is this the in-lap? Let's see how much or how hard we push it. Bit better than the first one. And when you come in the pits, the light in the car comes on, so you can see all your stuff. Quite cool. So yeah, slackening the belts. And then next in the car was Nikolai. So I don't know how much of the driver change you can see. So the damage we obtained earlier in like a different driver's stint meant the door was wedged. So for pit stops, it was really hard to get the door open. So you had to just like slam it, and yeah, no ideal. That's sort of it really. I mean, how do I summarize it? Overall, it went well for me because no crashes, relatively on pace, no incidents. But the bad thing was we didn't finish. I know there was more in it for me personally, and I know we could have won silver. Just didn't go our way. But I do think there'll be more. So yeah, same again next year. Hopefully, there's something in the pipeline already for next year, but I'm hoping it's gonna be more than this year. I think I said in that video, I was like, if we can just make every year better than the last, then hopefully at some point it should end in a very good position. But listen, if it doesn't, how fortunate am I to be able to do what I've just shown you? You know, even just that race was mental. But I am aiming for a lot more.